This was a very chaotic opening for what I'm sure will be a very chaotic vlog.
Hello. I'm here to give you an update. I don't know what that voice was. That was really strange.
And the second one comes out in sometime in the fall. I really want to say like September or November, somewhere in there. I know those are two very non-consecutive months, but those are what's in my head. Hi everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with week 3 of the Magical Readathon. Vlog 2, week 3. So I am here to start this vlog. I don't actually know how long it's going to be, but I come with updates. So I have less than 10 minutes before I have a book club, so I'm trying to do this very quickly. But basically, if you saw last week's vlog, you know that my plan for this week is going to be books I've already started. My current reading on Goodreads, I think, is 4 or 5 books long at this point. We'll see what happens. My update is that I did finish the book that I kind of ended the vlog with last week, which was Tell No One. This one was for Art of Illusion, which is a book you had already planned for this month. It's my book club book that I'm actually about to go talk to them. So I need to do this update rather quickly. It's a murder mystery. It's about a guy who 8 years before the book starts, his wife basically gets kidnapped and murdered, and then it's been a while, and he has a few things that have come up. He's gotten some anonymous emails. Some things start coming out of the woodworks, and he questions whether or not his wife is actually dead. So there's that. I read it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was very good. I went in, I talked a lot about it last week, but I went in with lower expectations. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about it. And I was immediately hooked. So this was a very good book. The writing is probably not my favorite thing in the world, but the plot development and the way that the story is being told hooked me immediately, that I forgot about the fact that I didn't love the writing style. Which is why I didn't get a full 5 star, because I mean, literally I was hooked from almost immediately. And so I really enjoyed that book. So that, as far as right now, we have 2 books completed for Magical Readathon. So other things that I'm rolling over. My next focus is going to be The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. I started this one last week. I haven't touched it because I was focusing on the Tell No One. I'm on page 156, chapter 18. I've really, really enjoyed this one so far. This one is for, not one that is required for me, but it's Sonics and Divination, which is a book with witches or the occult. This has like the God of the Dead, which feels like that vibe, so I'm not sure yet on that, but either way, really enjoying this one. I'll talk to you more about this once I get a little bit farther into it, but this is going to be my focus. Next, I'm also bringing in Funny Story by Emily Henry. This one is also for one that's not required, which is Artificery, which is a current time matches title length. It was like 10 o'clock when I was watching the video. This title has 10 letters in the name. I started it because I didn't have, or had the audiobook for not very long, and then I ended up finding it somewhere else. So I'm still plugging through this one. I really, really enjoyed it. I just put it down to focus on things that needed my attention more. So I'm hoping to get to that one. And those are the things that I've started in this vlog. The other things that I would like to finish, another one being Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I started this in like February. I made it 176 pages into this book. I have this one in for Animal Studies, which is to steal a book from another TBR. I had this on previous TBRs. It was also on my 2025 books to read this year, and I'm using some of my points, guild credits, whatever those things are called, to bring over a book that I've previously started before the readathon happened. So I am hoping to get to this one. Once I finish, these give me the same vibe. So once I finish 13th Child, then I'll pick this one up. I don't think I can read those at the same time. I might throw Funny Story in the middle of those just to give my brain a break. So that's the plan. If I could finish these 3 books this week, I'll be happy. If I can finish these 2 books this week, I'll be happy. Because I'm like, my reading mojo is back. Like, I'm ready to go. I've been really enjoying the things that I have been reading, but I need to dedicate time to those now, and I wasn't before. So that's my plan for the week. I will come back to you in a few days. It's also the busiest week at work. One of like the 2 busiest weeks of the year at work right now. So pray for me. We'll see what happens. So I'm trying to do this while also being incredibly busy at work. But I think I can do this. I think it works. That's my plan. Moral of the story is that's my plan, and I will come back to you when I've been able to do something.
Hello, I'm here to update you. As you probably saw, I finished The 13th Child. I guess I can put the cover back on now. I finished this earlier today, and I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing. I'm still kind of reeling a little bit with my thoughts on what I want to say about this book, but overall, 5 stars I feel like was very telling. I sobbed like a baby at the end of this book. I did not expect it to affect me like that, and it did. And I just loved it. I mean, I was reminded how beautifully and almost lyrical Aaron A. Craig's writing style is. I mean, I wouldn't call it a lyrical writing style, but it has its moments where it kind of lends itself to that feeling a little bit. And I remembered that in the previous book that I've read by her. And so I've definitely gotten on the rabbit hole now, and I'm like, I want to read other things by her. Because like I don't know, I could just really enjoyed my time. I loved the characters in here. I loved the complicated stories and like the complicated nature. Like, this book is very, it feels like a person's life. And it really feels like a story about life and the special moments that come with it, because like she is the goddaughter of a god, and so of course he's going to live forever and doesn't really understand all the like the little nitty gritty parts and moments in humans' lives that like he doesn't think anything of, but like are really important to her. Like, at one point throughout the story, she tells him about all the lives that she's she's not taken like tons of lives, but the lives that she has taken to save them and save people around them haunt her, literally. And so he talks of, and he like is surprised that she is remorseful for the lives that she's taken, even though she knows that by doing that it helped out a lot more people. And so like he just doesn't quite comprehend that, and so like that moment when they have that conversation is startling to him, because he doesn't understand, like, I see the big picture, how can you be remorseful for these lives? And he goes, well, you're not the one who physically took their lives. Like, it's just a really interesting conversation about that, and like what makes life good is all of the small moments, all the beautiful moments with family and friends and all that kind of stuff. And so like it has its moments of drama, and especially when she gets to the king and to the court and starts working for him and dealing with that situation, but like the falling out, the big reveal at the end, I didn't see coming, but I also saw coming. Like, it was one of those moments where it was like, I didn't guess it, but I was almost there. And if I had thought a little bit harder, it would have made sense. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a lot. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining my thoughts at the moment because I just finished this not too long ago. But I really, like I said, I really liked these characters. I really liked this watching Hazel figure stuff out and figure out what she needs to do. And it was just really interesting story to be in. And through her lens, and the writing was beautiful, and like I could picture everything that was happening. Like, it's just, she has a very atmospheric writing style. That's probably a good word. Is just the way that she writes these stories makes you feel like you're there. And so I'm so glad of this. I really enjoyed this. So while this was not for one of the ones that was required for my career, I did finish it. And I am very happy I did so and clearly enjoyed it because I gave it 5 stars. This could be a reread at some point. Like, I enjoyed it that much. So I finished that one. And in true chaotic fashion, I'm changing my mind. Because my plan was to focus on books that I'd already started. And as is what seems to be happening for this month, is I'm actually going to be starting another one, which is The Last Dragon on Mars, because the audiobook is due in like a week, a little over a week. And so I want to give this the time. And then I'll dive into. Plus, it'll give me a break between, because the next book I want to pick up is Throne of the Fallen, which is required for my career. And I had started that one, but it feels very similar vibe-wise to this one. Just like, nothing about the stories are the same, but like the atmosphericness of it is similar. So if I put something in between, I think that'll work. So this one is for the prompt of shape-shifting, which is to have a dragon on the cover in the title in some way, and I have both. So this is by Scott Reintgen, maybe. I didn't know anything about this going in. My friend Lauren really enjoyed this series and said that it was definitely worth picking up. This is the first, I don't know how long the series is going to be, but I did do a little digging on the back, and it seems like it's going to be a sci-fi fantasy, which I probably should have gotten from the fact that Mars is in the title, but it basically follows like this crew, and it takes place on Mars, and it's like civilization went to Earth. Okay, so here's where I'm confused. It feels like our main character is an alien. Talk about how they tried to go to Earth first, but there were dragons that inhabited Earth, so they didn't. But then humanity came to Earth, and the dragons decided to do what they could to help out, and it just kind of went badly. And so all the dragons have like disappeared. One went to Mars, but it didn't help, and Mars is doomed. And so it follows our main character, Lunar, who knows all these old stories, and knows that no one's going to help his crew, so he's focused on trying to just survive. And then it says, I'm just going to read you the last little bit of this. It says, desperate to find, okay, one day a salvaging run goes wrong. Desperate to find shelter, Lunar goes underground in a restricted zone. What he finds there, buried in the Martian dust, might just be the only hope left for a dying planet. We all know he's going to find a dragon, right? So it feels very like dystopian sci-fi fantasy vibes. I don't have any idea what I'm getting into, but I'm very excited to find out because it's very different than anything that I have read, and there's just something about this that sounds really good. And like I said, I trust Lauren impeccably. Like, we have different tastes on some things, but usually when we recommend the other a book, the other still really likes it. And so she's never steered me wrong before, and I don't think this is going to be any different. And because the audiobook is really, really good. So I'm going to try to do that. So I'm going to go and start this probably right now. And it's a middle grade, so it's not super long. I don't think I'm going to be hard pressed to I don't think it's going to take a lot of time to get through, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I have no idea when this vlog is going to end. But hopefully I will have read this before it does end, because I have read 2 books this month. 3. That's not true. I've read 3 books this month. This is my next read. I'll let you know probably when I finish it what I think. I'm excited. It feels very different than anything I've read. And it's not my vibe normally. I don't know, it just feels like it's going to be good. So I think I'm going to get very invested in this. I love dragons. Okay. I'll come back to you when I have thoughts on something, but that's the plan. I'll let you know how it goes.
So, I'm here to wrap up this vlog, but also to tell you that I finished a book, because I did a couple of days ago. Was it a couple of days ago? Either way, I finished The Last Dragon on Mars, and I ended up giving this one I think it was actually 4.5 stars. I was invested in this book. This was a very strange reading experience. Okay, so whenever I came to you last and tried to explain what this book was about, I was all kinds of wrong. So basically, it takes place on Mars, and the human race in this world, each planet has a dragon, and based on how big that dragon is how big the planet is, and so they kind of control the planet. That's why we have X amount of planets in our solar system. Also moons. So, like how Jupiter has like a ridiculous amount of moon. Each moon is a dragon. There's 4. I don't know why I said ridiculous amount. There's 4. At least in this world, there's 4. And so each planet and star, I think also planet, star, moon, a dragon controls that. And so in the history of this world, the dragon for Earth, Gaia, sacrifices herself to create the human race. And so Luna, who is the moon, basically is the dragon that protects Earth. And so the human race went, that's great, we're going to conquer more, let's go to Mars. And so they go to Mars and try to get Ares, who's the god of Mars, or who's the dragon of Mars, to sacrifice himself to create human life on Mars. And he goes, no, that sounds terrible, not going to do that. And they go, all right, so they kill him. And he, in doing so, curses Mars. So any living thing on Mars rejects humans. And so every animal turns against them. Anything they try to plant doesn't work. So they are barely surviving. And so we follow our main character, Lunar, who is a Martian. So he was born on Mars, and he lives basically in this little home with a bunch of other kids. And his job, he's 13, so he does not need a job, but because of the situation that they're in, his job is basically a scavenger. And he goes out into the wilderness after storms and hopes that whatever the storms kicked up something. And so he finds things. And so on one of these missions, one of these scavenge missions, he goes out and he does find some stuff. But due to circumstances and some of the other scavengers kind of attacking him, he ends up going into a restricted section for safety, and in doing so uncovers a dragon and the entire fleet of children and the person who's training them to be able to ride it and work with this dragon. So this world, you've got dragoons, which are basically the chosen one. The dragon chooses someone, and that person is the one that could ride him. And now they've got a crew of 14 people, so they all can ride this dragon, but this dragoon is in charge. And so lots of stuff happens. So the weird thing, for the first, I'll say 40% of this book, I was trying to figure out what was happening, because you've got a very sci-fi, I would say sci-fi is the first genre in this book, because it takes place on Mars. You've got all these kids and people hanging out on Mars. It's very scientific. It takes place during space. There are spaceships and things like that. They just happen to be run by dragons. Then you have a fantastical element of there are dragons, and that was very trippy. But then there's also this dystopian element because like Mars is dying and Earth is not helping them, and they're trying to overthrow maybe not a government that's malicious, but like they're trying to survive. And I could not wrap my brain around the fact that this was a sci-fi book, and like that's the way it feels. It has some dystopian elements, but it feels like a sci-fi story. But then there are also dragons. And so I spent so much of this book, or at least the beginning of this book, going like, what is happening? What am I feeling? And then all of a sudden I was incredibly invested. And I was incredibly invested in these characters. And there was some big plot twist at the end of this book that I probably should have seen coming. I did not. And I was literally doing the dishes while listening to the audiobook when we got to that like big reveal. And my husband had to like make sure I was okay because I was over there like gasping at things that were happening and he couldn't figure out what was happening. Just me, responding to a fictional book. This was so good. The moral of the story is I went into this and I was afraid because of the different genres and how I couldn't quite wrap my brain around it. And then the next thing I knew, I was obsessed with all these characters. So it's great. I really enjoyed this book, and it's the first in the series, and the second one comes out in sometime in the fall. I really want to say like September or November, somewhere in there. I know those are two very non-consecutive months, but those are what's in my head. So it's in the fall, and based on how this book ends, I need the second one right now. So this is definitely like this is marketed as middle grade. I would agree it is middle grade based on the age of our characters and the way it was written, but it's definitely higher middle grade, just based on some of the topics and things that are happening. So I really, really enjoyed this, and I cannot wait to get my hands on the second one. I'm invested. If you like Forthwick in the sense of like our main character is chosen by a dragon, and they are learning about the world that they are in with a bunch of people who do not believe that that person can do the thing, but put it in space and make it children. There you go. It's not the same book at all, but like it's that dragon vibe is the same. I don't know. I really like. There's just so much about this that I liked, and I liked that the author took like the science that we know from our world and like built on it. So like he didn't change the science that like you and I grew up learning in school. He just added a fantastical element to it. He built on what was already there, and I very much enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. I'm not surprised at all that I enjoyed it because Lauren is always right when we recommend each other books. So I'm hooked. I want more. So that's where I'm going to end this vlog. I feel like it was a relatively productive vlog. I read technically 3 things. 2 maybe. I started the week by finishing Tell No One, which I really enjoyed, and then of course I read The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig, which I didn't have at all, and I feel like I missed out on some stuff, so this is going to get a reread so I can annotate that. And then of course The Last Dragon on Mars, which I gave 5, 4.5, and I think the other one I gave 4. So a good quantity, a good quality month. Nothing was lower than a 4-star. I got 2 things that were required for my career down, which means I have technically 4 things, although I was looking at this, and if I just focus on like the Master of Elements career, technically only 3, and one of those is a manga. So I might be able to finesse my way into that. That's where we're at. I don't know how long next week's vlog is going to be, because the end of the month is Wednesday, and I have a very suspicious feeling that I'm just going to have to keep going, and I'm going to break the rules, and we're just going to continue past April. I think G is also doing that. I think she mentioned that in a video or in a post somewhere. Anyway, hopefully I will finish some things, but I have a feeling that next week's vlog will actually be longer than a week, and we will finish it when I have finished things. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and let you go, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know, as always, if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's video, or what are you currently reading? Are you participating in the readathon? How is your reading going? If you're not, tell me how your April reading has gone. We're almost at the end of the month, so just let me know all the things. I would love to know all your bookish thoughts. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so check all that out. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!